I've just been thinking. Apparently, that vintage Kennedy rehash advert that RFK Jr. He liked it. There was a lot of critique from MSNBC and other channels, like criticizing that advert, and then Kennedy had to kind of like answer for the criticism, and he said that himself, so he didn't actually mind it. I wonder. I guess I could do it just for a parody. I could do it anyway if I wanted to, but I mean, officially, I wouldn't. I was wondering maybe if you put like instead of "I want you," you could put "We want you" for Team Kennedy, in kind of like red, white, and blue. If it said like "We want you" for Team Kennedy, and then underneath "We the People" recruiting station. But maybe it's a bit too military though. The point is, I think that Kennedy's more about environment and peace. I don't know. I don't know whether it would be compelling or not. I mean, it's been parodied. This picture has been like milked. It's had probably had the water squeezed out of the stone with it. I don't know whether I agree with these pictures or not because they kind of like got military sort of connections. I wonder if there's some way that you could make it like with flowers around the edge. I like the fact that Kennedy he says that he doesn't like wearing shoes. Like kind of like it started making me think of the Hobbits, from Lord of the Rings or something like Frodo. I was kind of looking at it. I'm thinking Kennedy likes to. He does. He said that he doesn't like wearing shoes. He doesn't feel comfortable with them on. Although that's a bit. I don't know how he goes around doing all his demos and that. But he said he feels essentially he prefers not to have them on. It would be quite. I'm starting to think now. It would be quite interesting if it was like not like a small hobbit, but like proper size because hobbits are small, aren't they? But if you kind of did a kind of caricature, but not over characterized, kind of like about to the amount that this is, like, because it's like this is kind of like a real life drawing, but it's semi illustration. It's sort of kind of like it's halfway between a true life drawing and an illustration. Kind of like sort of Kennedy with a kind of loosish, kind of like what do you call them? A kind of linen shirt, like a white linen shirt, kind of a little bit loosish, and kind of like with no shoes on, kind of like almost like kind of hobbit feet, but not kind of exaggerated. And you could have like some like the frame could be like flowers or something, kind of like a real environmentalist. Maybe I'm kind of thinking a little bit like Janis Joplin or they paved paradise and put up a parking lot or something maybe along the lines of Neil Young, Heart of Gold or something, or a bit like Deep Purple or something. I don't know, something like what do you call it? What's it called in San Francisco when they've got like where all the intelligent people study at? Not Harvard. What's the word for it? I forgot now. Don't know if it begins with a B or not. Berkeley, kind of sort of like Berkeley, maybe a bit Terence McHenry. I don't know, but maybe like I don't know with his kind of environmentalist kind of angle, but kind of I don't know. I'm just thinking of a way that it would be kind of interesting and funny to have. He likes comedy, I think that he would kind of suit a kind of not a halfling, but a kind of like a full like sort of like full grown kind of environmentalist. Something it would be pretty cool if it's like we want you for Team Kennedy. And it was something like kind of like outdoors, but maybe it would put off a lot of Americans because I think he's trying to appeal to like baseball kids, hockey players, families, the whole spectrum. I think that if you did something like that, maybe they might kind of start thinking that it's a bit Marianne Williamson, crystals, and so forth. But I think it would be a cool picture. like if it was RFK Jr., kind of like, you know, because he said that he likes to not have his shoes on. So I was just trying to think, well, how could you do that? Like, so it kind of works, but looks kind of like, I don't know. And I was thinking, like, it would be cool if it was like Frodo, wouldn't it? Like from Lord of the Rings, you know? Almost like trying to, like, you know, like he wanted, like, you know, break up the CIA into 1,000 pieces and throw it to the wind, like the Ring, you know, like the Ring when you put the ring into the mountain or something like that. Maybe it wouldn't work, or maybe it could be just like, I don't think that Americans, I think this is probably exhausted for parodies, this picture, even if you did We the People somehow out of it, We Want You for Team Kennedy. It's probably been done like a zillion times, I mean, in every single way possible. It's probably been milked fully, but I kind of thought, you know, it would be pretty cool. But then this Kitchener one, you know, I realised something about this now. If you follow the proposed basis that the royals really, even though, you know, the whole image of England and the empire, that, you know, it's meant to be like, you know, the British Empire, blah blah blah. On the basis that, yes, they did attack our ancient sites and spoil them, and they have been literally buying up all the food companies that have been effectively giving a slow, long drawn out genocide. And then we've got all these terrorist actions from their little police, underground police monkey puppet militia. I think BentCop.biz, you know, like the Anonymous are the Anonymous, you know, like the Anonymous are the Anonymous, like they're the internet hackers. So like, I don't know, like, how they really define that, if, like, anyone can be anonymous as long as you're a hacker and they don't know who you are, because that means they could be, you don't have a side, you know, there is no alignment to them, you know, but I was thinking, like, you know, who are doing all these incidents, and I'm like, well, it's BentCop.biz, but not like me, BentCop.biz. I mean, BentCop.biz is like the proposal. BentCop.biz is the suggested name of who these people are. Well, that's what we could call them, you know. Therefore, BentCop.biz is the kind of like pointing like this at, you know, the people behind. Well, we know that people are behind these crashes. We're not stupid. These railway derailings and other terrorist incidents, and the only people with the vast amounts of money and control required for it. You see, you know, what you need, the thing that you want and the thing that you need to be able to do that is more cameras everywhere. If everyone's tracked and got like a GPS on their phone and car, if everyone's got a microphone so you can hear what they're saying and you know things about them, what they're thinking, where they're going to be going, how long they're going to be there for, Google Maps, Google Earth, like an eye in the sky, what can facilitate the ability to be able to stage these incidents and get even better and more precision at causing them is the cutting edge of this current technology and where it is now and how far it's going to. Because obviously, you know, you can, you can stage incidents in the, you know, 1600s, you know, all you need is, you know, certain people in on it. You know, you can, you know, tip carts over, or, you know, make the pins come out of the wheels, or whatever you want. You know, go into houses, take stuff. I mean, there's some accounts under John Bastwick and Henry Burton case of, you know, the court sending the guards to come and take evidence and papers from the house, breaking in. But there's probably plenty of cases where, you know, they were just coming and sneaking when you went in anyway without telling you. You know, this is the whole thing, you know, Milady de Winter and the rest of it. But this poster, I mean, if there was a kind of, you know, an IRA amnesty between, the royals and the native Britons, then, sending them to war is a good way of getting rid of a lot of them, And the thing with this poster is usually they refer to, the thing is the royals, they like to refer to it as the empire, particularly back then, the British Empire or the empire. And the thing with Britons, the word Briton is actually more, it's more associated with, I think, the Brigantes and, like the Bristolians and the past, really. So to call it Britons, I actually think that calling Britons up and sending them to war, joining up to the country, God save the king, well, you're saving the king and the elite if you sacrifice yourself, particularly if you end up going to war. This, I don't really want to get into the war too much when it comes to Jews because I don't really know too much about them, but I think that I'm not a denier or anything, I think, the whole thing with Germany happened and the gas chambers and all that, but I actually think that for all the horrors that are reported for it, and, they did design those buildings to look like a lot of the ancient religious sites, like Gravenus and Newgrange and, all the Long Barrows, and the shape of those gas chambers was purposely designed to look like, the Grand Dolmen of Bognac and places like that, all these ancient chambers and burials, there was some intimidation in that, sending them all dying there. But still, with all the atrocities, which I don't deny, I still think the worst atrocity, the worst horror of it all was the actual war itself. Any country sending its troops at each other to die and to fight, signing up for. I actually think that I actually think that forcing people to sign up to an army and fight and sending them at another country, I think that is the crime, and I think that is the atrocity, and that is the horror. And I think that, for, the way that they go about doing, the rest of it, I think that the whole religious part of it was kind of, there had to be something more horrible, How can you have anything more horrible than weapons and war? And actually not having a choice, but to be told to go kill people, there cannot be anything more horrible than that. So you've got really if you've got a government in a country that's saying, right, you will go to war whether you like it or not. You could be picking daisies or milking a cow or something. But when you're on land, on the planet, on Earth, as a sentient being, like, a goat or a sheep or a chicken or a hen, right? And, you're just going about the living, breathing, oxygen circulating functions of a biological organism. And then some other being, creature, says, right, I'm speaking to you in a language and you will do this and that. And then this is death. And you are going to kill those other living creatures. I don't think there's anything more horrible or evil than that in this world. And therefore, I think that these governments have to come up with something more evil than what they're doing. I think that they are doing the biggest evil by that. And I actually think that it's probably less evil to just stand there and let the other country come. I mean, what are they going to do? They don't want to completely and totally level the country, because what's the point in conquering, flatland? Or else you have to start from scratch again. It costs money. And that's why I think part of the war, they wanted to blitz and bomb some places so they could rebuild them, almost like Moderna, what, Rishi Sunak's doing now. He wants his new Moderna landscape everywhere, and we all have to, the big PVC window cell on the TV, and the big celebrity in the morning television studio cell, otherwise there won't be no change. Some people like things as they are. There's no profit in that. I've said this in other videos. I think that they've got to come up with something more terrible, more horrible than what they are doing to everyone. And they try to make it, I'm not saying that, no one's saying that it wasn't horrible and terrible, but really, it wasn't as horrible and terrible as the whole big thing, was it? It wasn't, because compared to the fact that, people didn't have a choice to go fight and kill other people, there's arming people and training people, right? But when you don't have a choice, some people were shooting themselves in the foot so they didn't have to go, it's terrible and upsetting to imagine, people in the gas chambers, if you have got there's nothing you can do about it, you're lined up naked. There's something humiliating about that. There's a fear, there's a humiliation, there's definitely an evil, definitely. There's got to be something. I guess I'm standing up for Jewish people here. I don't even know what the word anti-Semitism means, to be honest. I know that Jeremy Corbyn's been kicked out of Labour for it. To be honest, I don't really understand it or know what it means. I only know general basic information about the war. I don't think people realise the design of those chambers was meant to be intimidating towards the ancient sites. I don't think that's general knowledge. But I definitely think that out of like all these religions, like, Christianity and so forth, and all these dogmatic mysteries from religion, arcane mysteries from religion, where they're very, it talks about the devil and, the stone tablets and all these, part in the water, all these things happening. I'm quite certain that, those gas chambers and, being lined up naked probably was not far off the ultimate evil, other than being in the middle of Death Valley in America with no food, and plenty of people have probably starved there. But, the landscape and environment could seem formidable. You could end up in Antarctica, and probably not last 2 seconds without freezing, but there's something, this alchemical earth, temperature. If you leave the planet without protection, you're going to freeze or burn in space anyway, depending on, if the sun happens to be up or not. We're not made to leave this earth. Putting people in spacesuits and spaceships is artificial. It's an invention. As you are, we're not made to survive in space. There is a hostility of the fact that you can't leave the planet. But when it comes to, you can look at the King Arthur cartoon, Sword in the Stone, when they're like transforming themselves into diseases, and you can look at it on a viral level, or even on a molecular level, or even on a human level, as we're just like, cells and organisms like humming and buzzing around, and some of them just happen to hum and buzz into each other and wipe each other out, And I think that's how the leaders end up, and the scientists and these big billionaire elite end up. I think that is their perspective on everyone now, and it's all about money, resources, wealth, and power. For sure that I think that the patriotism, fight for your country or whatever, I think it's a con in a way, I mean, who's fighting for humans? Who's fighting for life? Oh, if you don't fight, we're going to get wiped out. Well, no, because it's kind of pointless. I think the truth of the matter is that if we just sat on the floor with our legs crossed, what use is this country? If there's no one in it, all right, that means that half of the people in Germany or whatever, what are they going to do? Less traffic jams in Germany if empty houses in England. I doubt, there's this kind of like, do they want, what resources do they want? I think that it's all about getting us to do what they want us to do and not by country, by humans. I think if there's ever any war worth fighting, it would be to not fight. Like so basically what you're doing is your objective is to not fight. So like in a war, the objective is to fight an opponent and confront them, enter combat and warfare and defeat them. Whereas if you think, well, I've got a different war, a different battle, but not one with weapons and machines. If you think how I will fight by not fighting, so kind of like Bruce Lee in it, because Bruce Lee said like it's the art of fighting without fighting. If you think of the art of fighting without fighting, but the thing is, we're all kind of fighting now with media, signs, placards. Some people are actually physically removing things that the government are putting there that they don't want there and stuff like that. But maybe some of the people who don't go and vote have kind of got it right. Maybe that, now more and more people are not voting. Less and less people are turning up to vote. It's got like over 50% now. Maybe they've got the right idea, and maybe not enough people are doing that. Maybe if more and more people started to get the idea and then less and less and less and less and less vote until it's like, 30% turning out to vote or even less, maybe then what power have the leaders got to send us to fight in a war if they haven't been elected? I mean, they're going to flip it on a coin. And at that point, how many people are even going to go into service? If a government elected, someone from flipping a coin because no one turned up to vote, then who's going to turn up for enrolment in the army if those people who didn't actually win it by any votes hardly started telling us what to do? And we're like, just a minute, no one agreed to this, It's a shame that other countries don't think like that. It's a shame they've elected Putin again. It's got to be a scam that Putin getting elected again. I don't know what propaganda is feeding him. Apparently, Inside Russia channel doesn't seem to agree with him. But I think this is the type of thing that you would thought of Tucker Carlson say. I really like all the things that Tucker Carlson says. I don't watch him obsessively just because I just don't have the time. But I've been kind of like, following along with, what he's been, generally coming out with. And the attitude, his kind of way of thinking and ideology and that is definitely he's kind of like, the human. I mean, he's kind of like, he dresses like, some sort of, white collar or business person. He's definitely not, although he's been seen in the woods, by a log cabin on occasion. But he's got this attitude of, what is the point in, all this fighting and warfare kind of business? Because he wanted to go make friends with Putin. But like Boris is like, that ridiculous interview with Putin, that ridiculous war that you're sending us to, Boris, right, you go fight it yourself, what is the point, At some point, you've got to ask, French people, what is the point in warfare? Surely there's got to be. I don't get, right, this is what I don't get. If there are more and more people protesting and turning up outside Parliament or outside European Parliament or whatever, if all those people were turning up and protesting that they're not going to go to war and they're not going to have a fight and battle, how can you send a country to war if they petition that they're not going to go to war? You know, I think there's something in one of the army or one of the armed forces acts where it's something to do with, you know, you're not liable. I think that once you signed up for service in the army, you're not I don't think you're liable if someone gets killed in training and things like that. There's something to do with it hints at something like the right to petition right of the king. It's right, you know, because you're not allowed to draw arms against the king, but there's something in there whereby, like, you're not responsible. You know, if someone else accidentally dies in training or something like that. I don't know if it includes or excludes the king or not, or if it could be you, you know, because I think the basis of it, and this is only, I'm just kind of like throwing this out there because it was something that I read randomly. I think there was something like, you know, it's illegal to draw arms against the king, but if you sign up for service and the king's fighting, which he can do because he's a commander, isn't he, in the army, you're armed, aren't you? You fight, if you fight beside the king or with the king, you're armed, right? And you are beside the king. Right, now what happens if, you know, an explosive mine goes off or one of the opposition shoots him, right? And things like that. Or if he dies accidentally while you're all running up a hill. This is just like completely hypothetical. I'm talking about like legal terms now. But what I'm saying is, I thought I read something about liability for other people's deaths, and due to certain constitutional and other laws, that there's some liability exemption or something like that, and it made me think of, you know, it's right, the subjects to petition the king sort of thing. So, you know, there's that as well. But, you know, why aren't everyone petitioning to not go to war? You know? I'm starting to think that you can do that. But if there's so many people turning up outside Parliament, you know, with signs, when they're saying, like, you know, we are not going to war, I don't think there's anyone turning up outside any government with signs going, we want to go to war, let's have a war. I think they're all saying, we don't want any wars, you know? Which the mind boggles how we've even got the war in Ukraine. Seems ridiculous. There's got to be some propaganda and stuff going on the televisions and radios overseas, I think. Why would the average cow milker, you know, in some, you know, Mongolian Russian border be interested in, you know, suddenly picking up a gun and going to fight? There's got to be something sketchy going on over in Russia, I think, you know, with the transmissions and broadcasts for sure. You know, and at the moment, I'm sure plenty of people are more interested in going to the cinema, eating hot dogs and going and playing football most of the time. And it's because many people are snapping out of that and they don't want to continue with that life anymore, why they're even contemplating sending us to war, I think, you know. But that's that. You know, what is the point in this conversation? Well, I think the point at the end of the day is, you know, I don't see why people have got a right not to fight. How can you have a right to not fight? I mean, not have a right to not fight at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, who's voting for these countries that want to have wars, you know? Seems ridiculous. I think it's a scam. I think that the biggest evil is war, full stop. And I think that the governments have got to conjure up some horrors in order to make that war not look as bad. Same with the road accidents. I mean, road accidents are bad, but you can't avoid them because they're an accident. But if we say, oh, they're an accident, it's no one's fault, so therefore no one needs to be punished really too much because they didn't really want to have an accident. then you don't need all these punishments and surveillance. But I think they like doing it, and they've got to have more. They've got to have these horror incidents and so forth to make people think that they need all this surveillance and accidents and incidents. And that's why I think that someone's doing these accidents and incidents. I think someone is doing these accidents and incidents. It's like even Starmer now. I think I didn't actually know, but Labour started doing this clown advert, and they did it a year or two ago. This clown advert, but it was now they've got these Labour clowns going around in cars, driving around like a circus. Like, who's the ringmaster of them all? It's almost like, these dodgy incidents or these weird freak incidents that keep popping up almost in response to a certain thing that you do, or if you do something, there's some sort of incident response. Kind of like, police clowns. Well, they're bentcop.biz. That's who they are. That's who they are. Anonymous are anonymous. These are bentcop.biz. I think that's what bentcop.biz is. It is naming the terrorists behind these incidents. Not only the incidents, but the setting up of corrupt and illegal practices. The illegal road signs. If there were, there's loads. If it was so, the thing is, right. It's not a lie. It's the truth. There's illegal road signage, and it's at the enforcement sites. And it's got a specific psychological purpose to mislead people so they can find them. So it's not right. There's something being put there wrong on purpose. And it's this. Why didn't the police just go, oh yeah, damn, who's done that? We'll investigate them and then prosecute them. Well, if it was that easy, we could have sorted it out, but it's not. That means that they don't want it sorted out, and they don't even want people to know about it. That means that there is a identifiable group that is severely opposed to being discovered or being found to be guilty of this, to be officially acknowledged as existing, possibly even, and that's them, bentcop.biz. So, we've named the beast, and it ain't me. And this campaign is not them, but this campaign is naming that entity. The name of this campaign is calling them out. You're bentcop.biz, and you're criminals, you're terrorists, and you're using staged incidents, the news, police press office, to terrorise this country, because without accidents and incidents and without fear of them, we won't need more surveillance. And what they do with that surveillance is use it to cause more and more terrorist incidents, and they've got more and more precision control over events. When this happens, when that happens. Why? Well, for the same reasons they've done it all along. Sir Peter Fahey, Bredbury, jokes and kicks and farts, Joey off bread, gotta get up, gotta get out, ooh-wee, ooh, in the world and shout, gotta go to the airport at Manchester, past Bredbury, make some money at Bredbury, this is it. It's just shits and giggles, and they're fighting a cause, accidents and incidents, these are the incident management. What else can you do with incident management skills but manage incidents? It's the dark arts. You need a specialist. Incident management, incident support, incident creation, incident cause. They exist. I think Parliament burning down was not the start of it, but it was a monumental, probably one of their homage. It is more like, a celebration. It's like one of their, for them, that is one of their iconic, historic classics. If you like, sharing and giving Father Christmas, but that's been perverted, like doing good deeds for each other, has now been turned into like retail fest, I think that, these people, this group's heroes are like, Sir Robert Peel, who invented the police. The burning of the House of Commons petitions. And then you've got the creating of the Crown Prosecution Service and pulling the Tumultuous Petition Act fully. They like incidents, incidents, big incidents, like, Twin Towers, like, train crashes, Lockerbie disasters. You're always going to get accidents, and accidents are always going to be an accident, but there's some of them are, the thing with accidents is there can be accidents, but then there's bad accidents. But then you've got things like the Titanic, Titanical accidents. I think that these people are at a whole different level. It's on the level of designing gas chambers with an intention for them to look like ancient pre-Christian religious sites. It's on that level. So, you don't send someone underneath Parliament with 2 Magna Cartas full of counting beads to dispose of, and then, when the woman who's looking at Parliament thinks, the floor's a bit warm and smoking, or, no, that's all right, Mrs. Fibbers, it's just don't have to worry about anything. If it was Johnson, if Boris Johnson, like I've said this the other day, if Boris Johnson had told the clerk in Parliament to go stack up 2 Magna Cartas full of counting beads and stick them in the fire to burn, and then, Liz Truss was looking at Parliament and thought the floor was a bit warm and smoking, but she just ignored it and locked up anyway, then don't tell me that, Liz Truss and Boris Johnson wouldn't have been in front of the court for, treason, intent to burn down the Houses of Parliament. That is the thing. I didn't know there was a party on. But that's the classic, isn't it? Johnson, Boris Johnson, I didn't know this is a party. Johnson's in a party and he doesn't know it's a party. Well, I didn't know it was a party. Well, what's this? It's a fire, the Parliament's on fire. I didn't know it was a fire. I didn't know it was a fire. It's Boris. Who? Wow. Boris. Well, I was in Parliament, and then I was in Parliament, and then, there was 2 Magna Cartas full of counting beads under the floorboards, and, the clerk was there filling it full, but I didn't know there was a fire. Well, you told them to burn them, Boris. You told them to burn them. Yes, I told them to burn them, but I didn't know there was a fire. Yes, but that's what you do, I told them to smoke them. I told them to smoke the counting beads. I told them to, I told them to lightly fry them. Didn't tell them to burn them. How about you, Miss Truss? Did you know the floor was a bit hot? Well, I knew the floor was hot and there was smoke coming up from it, but I didn't think it was because there was a fire. Well, didn't the clerk tell you that they were burning some 2 Magna Cartas full of counting beads? Yeah, I knew that, but I didn't think there was a problem with that. Well, Boris said everything would be okay. It's got Johnson written all. It's got Johnson's. Don't you think the burning down of Parliament has got like the Johnson style signature all over it, hasn't it? It's almost like got the Johnson signature. Although, ironically, I think Peel does look like Starmer. He's got a Starmer-esque look about him, funnily enough, But it's almost like it's the similar. It's just a similar escapade. It's the same level of incompetence, isn't it, as those parties. Those lockdown parties. Yes, I didn't know it was a party. Oh, I didn't know Parliament was on fire, but you told them to go start them. You told them to make a fire, Boris. Well, I told them to go and take the carts counting beans down of wood and put them in the stove, but that's not a fire. Yes, well, that's what a fire is, Boris. When you say something alike, it's got the same kind of. It's almost like this is the dark arts. It's disguised as incompetence or unprofessionalism. Well, it's like, I know that you're going to die and send you to war, but this is not, so no, I'm not trying to kill everyone in England. I'm not trying to wipe the population. This is genocide. It's having a disagreement with another country. Yes, but you're sending us at each other with weapons, Boris, and some of us aren't coming back. Yes, but that's not, that's not dangerous. Well, it is. Well, some of them don't want to go. Well, it's tough, well, isn't that murder? Well, it's not murder if there's a cause, a good reason for it. Well, we're just protecting ourselves. Yes, but, Boris, why don't we just erect why don't we just build loads of ships, like in a shipping? Why don't we just, why don't we just build a submarine ring around the islands, and well, it's going to protect us from nuclear weapons, is it? Well, if we've got nuclear weapons, Boris, what's the point in having an army? That's one thing George Galloway didn't say in his parliamentary speech, that, what's the point having an army or a navy now when people have just got nuclear weapons? It's almost like the whole Ukraine war is, this is the thing, because, once you use the nuclear weapons, then you're admitting that you're the bigger evil. But what people can't see is that you can't get any more evil. They've always got to. I think the nuclear weapons is kind of almost like it's like they've got this bigger thing. Ooh, we can't go to the nuclear weapons. That would be bad. Wouldn't that be dark and sinister and evil? No. We'll just have a little war in Ukraine. This is not that evil. It's not a little bit bad, only a little bit evil. But if they got the nuclear weapons out, then that would be evil. It's almost like the gas chambers, isn't it? Like, no, that's not. It's not evil. This war's not evil. We're not evil. That's evil. Stripping you naked and they're not even armed. These people aren't even armed. They're just naked. That's evil. It's like a duel. You got a fair. How about dueling? At least you got your 50 paces and a load of pistol. That was a fair fight. But no. At least we're giving you. Oh no, this is not evil. We're arming you and training you to kill each other. That's not evil. There are far greater evils, and the nuclear weapons. They've got. I kind of sussed them out now. What they do is they're like, you can't get more evil. And then what they do is they conjure up this worse evil, like something even worse. So then it's not as bad or even not that bad at all. And then they dress it up as, oh, you're doing something good. Now you're saving all the farmers and the sheep, whereas, if we just didn't do it in the first place, why don't we just lay down and, sing for England, it's like lay back and sing hallelujah, let them come and, screw us over, Why don't we just invite them over and sing them a song, do them a cabaret, It's like, who do you think you are fooling, Mr. Hitler? If you think that you have won, we'll still have a laugh at you. This is the thing, Putin, it's illegal to take the mick out of Putin in Russia. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like people taking the piss out of him. I mean, he really doesn't. So, I mean, wouldn't it be more insulting, if Russia came over? Well, they're not going to come over here in tanks and with tanks because, then that's not going to happen, is it? Because they've got nuclear weapons. So, I mean, if they did, it would be more insulting, to like Braveheart or Highlander or something, like Okai Gnu, like show your balls or whatever. Apparently, according to Putin, apparently he can't handle being taken the piss out of him. He can't stand it. Apparently, if we all, started doing Putin jokes, it would probably hurting more than, getting shot. And, you can't protect yourself from Putin jokes with a bulletproof vest, can you? I mean, you have to put your fingers in your ears. And Putin's only got one ear covered, with his little listening device. He hasn't got two. So, he's only half protected from Putin jokes at the end of the day, He probably, we could all actually start doing Putin jokes now, But, who needs a Putin joke when you've got BentCop.biz? Because, our own military forces are taking the piss out of us. Maybe it's Putin, maybe there's a bit of Putin in there, but I've got a feeling it's, ex-police chief, lords and police commissioner, Sir Knights of the Realm in and around that area of investigation. It's the people behind the tech and the cutting edge of the tech, because they want to be, if they don't want something to happen for whatever purposes, personal reasons or political reasons, they want to be able to, sneak in a sly one and nip it in the bud, or, just switch power down or divert or something to disappear if they don't want it to happen. And they want to be on the ball with the GPS and the cameras everywhere, just for control purposes. And that's a foul, that's a referee, that is, maybe they snuck in with it, the whole time. They definitely did. Well, if Parliament burned down, I think they've snuck along with it. I think maybe it's been there since we was, in the Garden of Eden with a slithering snake and climbing out the trees the whole time. But the Archbishop of Canterbury just seems to want to put his hands together and pray. That's not going to help. I don't, and then that's the guy who used to work for petroleum, apparently. I didn't even know that. Archbishop of Canterbury used to be involved with BP, so, apparently he's repenting for his sins now, so I've been told. They can be found, these people. I think BentCop.biz can be found, the actual BentCop.biz, the police. I think it's ex-military police, government departmentally shenanigans somewhere. George Galloway doesn't seem to know who they are. I don't know if Keir Starmer does, but they're doing the bidding of them. They've got people like Patrick Stewart and Keir Starmer named and acting out certain Sir Tom Jones, doing the cabaret show for it, almost like, you got the TV guide, you don't need the TV. These people are doing the sideshow for it. They're like the promo, they're musing it. They're musing their work, these people, and they're getting people like, Tom Jones and Starmer to muse, celebrate their deeds, like the burning down of Parliament. These people are decorated, and it's likely that they are. It's likely that the actual people who are doing the stunts are obviously anonymous or whatever, or lesser known, and they use people like Tom Jones or whatever as their celebrated, decorated. We need to find out the real. Who the real, the real deal, who is doing it. Probably Bill Gates, he's probably deeply embroiled in it as well. Zuckerberg's gone over to the dark side. Cynic Clegg, the taking down people's meetings from Facebook unlawfully, without a doubt. They've all gone over. That's what happens when you get too much money, though. You end up going over to the other side.